Good morning, good morning.
It's great to stay up late.
Good morning to you.
Hey vlog, buenos dias. Day 62 of my 365 days of my 2026 just begun because I just woke up and it's currently 9:17 in the AM. Today is a good day. Today is not cold. It rained at night, so that means I slept like a baby. And that's just about it. I thank God because I've woken up in good shape, in good health. I'm not feeling pain anywhere. I didn't have a nightmare at night. If you had a nightmare at night, I'm so sorry. But I thank God because today's a new day. His mercies are fresh and new every day. And so we have a clean slate to work on. And I'm just here to clock in and remind you and myself to clock in and lock in intentionally so that by the end of the year, we can be happy with the decisions that we made for ourselves to better our lives and have a good experience in this life because we only live once. We lived day 61 once and we will not go back to day 61 again. So choose to live today, choose to live day 62 positively, choose to put your best foot forward, choose to roll up your sleeves, choose to pull up your socks, and put in the work because it's not easy. And by the end of the day, you'll be happy with the choice that you've made. Because who will do it for you? This is a question I always ask myself. If I do not do it, if I do not choose to put myself out there, who will do it for me? My parents won't do it for me. My friends won't do it for me. So it's up to me. It's up to you to put your best foot forward, to pray, to ask God to guide you, to ask God to place the right people in your life, and so that you can succeed and you can experience life beautifully, because that is what I desire, and I hope that is what you also desire. So I'm here to wish you a beautiful day. I'm here to remind you to clock in intentionally. I'm here to remind you to drink your water. I'm here to remind you to smile. I'm here to remind you to have a positive perspective towards life, even though things might seem not so good. But please don't dwell on that. Feel it, learn from it, but please do not dwell on that because that adds no value to you. Well, it might be a learning curve. It is actually a learning curve. However, at the end of the day, it's just going to drain you. So you'd rather just pick up your belongings and start moving and continue moving because that's the only option. Giving up is not an option. So, and there's so much satisfaction in choosing yourself and choosing to rest in knowing that God has good plans for you, and choosing to be positive and choosing to work towards your goal, because I'm sure and I'm telling you, you will be happy. Yeah. So yeah, remember to love, remember to hug your children, your child, remember to eat a balanced diet, remember to smile again and again, yeah, even in the midst of adversities, even when it seems so hard to smile, just do and it's okay. Yeah, that's all I have for now. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Today let's comment the flag of Madagascar, just because it's what that came to my mind right now. And the sun is trying to Kimani makes a lot of noise. I don't think I would keep a rooster in my compound, to be quite honest. As much as I love animals, a rooster makes so much noise and I don't like it. I like the meat. I like eating the meat, but like rearing a rooster, no, makes so much noise. Anyway, yeah, so I'm here to wish you a good day. The people mending the house, I think it's been raining. The house has been raining because it's been raining a lot. So yeah, I'm here to wish you a good day. May you choose to put your best foot forward, and I'll meet you back here as I'm looking out and as we're reading the book together. So till then, keep it locked in, focus, put in the work intentionally, and I'm sure you'll be happy by the time the year is coming to an end. We shall all be happy. Until the evening, stay blessed and happy. to the cyber. Hey vlog, day 62 is over and it's time for me to clock out. And even before I clock out, you need to read this book. This is like a motivational bedtime story that is meant to inspire you to clock in and lock in intentionally. So even before I begin with all the stories, it's currently 8:11 in the PM, and I just want to continue reading this book, Unstoppable by Maria Sharapova, who was or still is a retired tennis player. And so I'll start by setting the timer because we read the book for 30 minutes, and I'll just hit start and then we get it. So we left at page 103 and the last sentence was, they lived in a big house in Palos Verdes and had 2 kids, Shane and Estelle. The first time we went to the house, a little girl with wavy curly hair and freckles, no more than 8 years old, opened the door. Her look was suspicious. Why was this blonde, skinny girl and her father standing at her doorway with suitcases? But we bonded quickly, probably because she could only play so many basketball games with her brother Shane. She became the closest thing to a younger sister I will ever have. She played some tennis, but mostly focused on school. On school days, I would patiently wait for her to wake up, then help her pick out an outfit. We would walk together for a while. We would go to her school and I would continue on to the public tennis courts behind the school to practice serves with my father. I could see her sitting in her classroom. I would wave to her and she would pretend not to notice so she didn't get in trouble with the teacher. At the end of each day, we would jump on the backyard trampoline until it got dark, or until my father would tell me I had to stop before I tired myself out. There was always the next day's training to think about. We made up a lot of games, pretend games. Our favorites were bank with a metal box register and handmade paper checks, and Sherlock Holmes, in which we staged a crime, then solved it. And when the Harry Potter books came out, we competed to see who would read them all the way through first. We planned trips to Disney months in advance, mapping out each place we would go. Once I asked Robert if he would give me Saturday off to go to Disney. He made me run side to sides, 100 of them, just for talking about Disneyland. Then he let me go. 18 years later, Estelle and I still plan our trips to Disneyland and still pick apart Harry Potter. It's a deep friendship. I crave a deep friendship, a deep, genuine friendship. We are loyal and rely on each other. We may not be in the same city or even in the same country, but nothing separates us. Staying at her home made those trips fun and gave me something to look forward to. It wasn't going to be all torture. Estelle really helped me through those years. I love her and will always be grateful. Robert's practices were pretty much the same every time. That was the point of them. He believed in repetition, doing the same thing again and again and again. That's what I'm currently doing. Do it till it's second nature. No matter what, he just kept feeding those balls. Forehand to backhand, side to side, no mercy. When you're hitting one ball, he's already feeding you the next. It's speeding towards the opposite side of the court, and you have to run to get it. On some days, he was an absolute asshole. He would just pound and pound that ball until you thought you would die. He'd end each practice by feeding 10 quick balls side to side, running you back and forth, back and forth. He called it 10 at the baseline. We'd do that 6 to 7 times. Then, just as I was heading off court, he'd say, "Where do you think you're going, broad?" He loved that word, broad. Then he'd make you do another dozen from the baseline. Lansdorp was not a sadist. There was a point to all that torture. Everything was done in the service of a philosophy. Every drill had a reason. Was taking the player somewhere. When I asked him to explain that philosophy, he laughed. "Well, you know me, Maria," he said, smiling. I just hit spin on a tennis ball. That's what most modern players use. They hit the ball hard, then put a lot of spin on it to keep it in the court. It drops like a sinker ball. I hate it. What I want is a good, hard, flat stroke. That's what all that repetition is teaching. A flat stroke doesn't have a lot of top spin. Flat strokes were big in the 1970s and 1980s. Into the early 1990s, then a new, terrible style came in. I think it had to do with the new rackets and new grips. It changed everything. With the new grips, it's easy to put a lot of spin on a ball. Too easy. The spin gets on there even when you don't want it to. The kids who thrive on that can be hard to beat, but when they get to the 15 or 16, they hit a wall because now you have to hit the ball harder and suddenly you cannot control the spin. You have to learn to hit flat when you're young because you need to be fearless to do it. And the older you get, the more fear gets into your game. That's why we did it again and again. You're learning to hit that hard, flat stroke. Once he had acquired what Robert considered a suitable hard flat stroke, it was all about getting into a Nirvana-like hitting groove. We began to work on my accuracy, my court placement. There was nothing high-tech or modern about this method. There were no video cameras or lasers or algorithms. Robert simply taped empty tennis ball cans a few inches above the net on either side of the court and told us to hit those targets as many times as we could. It was like trying to drive a tennis ball through a keyhole. "You know, you have that record," Robert told me recently. The record of what? For hitting the target, he said. "I put them just above the net because that really gives you a sense of the sweet spot, where the zone is. You didn't like doing that in the beginning. No one does. Then, after about a year, you started getting into it. You'd actually ask me to set up the targets. That was very unusual. When you were maybe 15, you hit the target 8 out of 10 times. That's still a record. 8 out of 10 forehands. Justin Gimmel's top hit 8 out of 10 backhands. One day, Anastasia Meskina, who later won the French Open, was at the club. She had a lesson, and Maria, you were 3 courts away, playing a practice match. Meskina's hitting the target, and the way I worked, each time a player hit the target, I'd bang a tin can, ring it like a bell. 1 for 1, 2 for 2. I get to 4 for 4, and you start screaming. I know she's not hitting the target. I know you're faking it. Meanwhile, you never missed a beat in your own match. Crazy concentration. We were laughing so hard. You knew you were faking it, and you were. No other girl could hit that target 8 out of 10 forehands. These drills gave me a new pace and consistency to my game. It got to where I could just drive that ball hard and flat over and over again. This puts tremendous pressure on opponents. The assault never stops. I did not have a lot of court speed, but this shot could make up for it. Working with Lansdorp also gave me a new attitude, a terrific confidence. Robert was so certain about what he was doing that it made you just as certain. He was a guru. You could feel his presence in your head. It was a voice that said, "This is how it should be done. There is no question and there is no doubt." And he proved it. He's proved it. Lansdorp has trained 3 world number ones. The fact that he could be such a difficult man only made it more special. I loved him partly because I felt like I could break down that cold barrier. Once at the end of a long practice, as I was leaving the court, he called me back. He said, "Hey, bud, what is it, Robert?" He handed me a package. "It's that thing you won't shut up about," he said, frowning. "That's how I got my first iPod." "Why?" I asked. "Well, why the hell not?" said Robert. "That's the thing about that man. He'd always surprise you." Beautiful. When Robert Lansdorp celebrated his 70th birthday, a bunch of old students came back to pay their respects. Lindsay Davenport and Tracy Austin were there. Several of them got up to make toasts to offer little tributes. They spoke about what they got from Robert. The ground strokes were mentioned, of course, but the main thing, what people kept coming back to, was the attitude and confidence, the toughness, the determination to fight back, even when things look bad. Determination to fight back, even when things look bad. Determination to fight back, even when everything looks bad. If you can survive Robert Lansdorp, they joked, you can survive anything. It took 2 years, but Robert remade my tennis game. Or maybe remade is the wrong word. Maybe he just helped me find what had always been there but was dormant. I emerged from those lessons with a new confidence and a new mind. That's how I made the transition from kid to adult. By age 14, I was already playing the game I play now. Those years were marked by a failed experiment that always haunts me. It's the kind of thing you dwell on you dwell on late at night, asking yourself, what if? Yuri believed a mistake had been made right at the beginning. When I first started playing, as I worked out with Lansdorp, as Yuri watched me hit forehand after forehand, backhand after backhand, he became convinced that I was, by nature, a lefty. If you had been playing lefty from the first days, no one in the world could beat you, he said. On a visit to Sochi, he tracked down Yudkin and asked him, how did you miss it? You couldn't see that she should be a lefty? What do you want from me? Said Yudkin. She came out on the court, hitting the ball with her right hand. So she was a righty. End of story. She decided that herself when she was 5 years old. No one knows anything better than a 5-year-old knows herself. But Yuri only became more and more convinced. You should be playing lefty, and there's still time to fix it. It's simply a question of will. Now and then, when I played lefty goofing around, it did feel natural. It was just so easy, so normal. It was zing. The world humming, the gears turning, the stars lining up for the solstice. Then again, I do hold a pen and fork with my right hand. So maybe or maybe not. The more I thought about it, the more confused I became. My father asked Lansdorp, you've been working with Maria. What do you think? Should she be playing righty or lefty? I remember Yuri asking me this question. Robert told me, and I remember my answer. I said, I don't know, but she probably should be right-handed because then her backhand will be world class. Because you really could hit left hand, Maria. Your ability to hit a left-handed forehand made your two-handed backhand look natural. Some people are not pure two-handers. That takes time to develop. But you were a pure two-hander from the first day I saw you. So what did I tell your father? What I tell everyone with an interesting idea. Why not try it? Why not try it? Why not try it? A few days later, my father told me to switch to my left hand. Why? Because Yudkin messed it all up, he said. You really should be a lefty. Yeah, but I play with my right hand, I said. Look, Maria, said my father, if you play left-handed, you'll be impossible to beat. I resisted for a few days, but finally decided to give it a try, a real try. At the time, my father was sort of obsessed with Monica Seles and Jane Michael Gambill. Each of those players had a crazy method. Instead of hitting a traditional forehand backhand, they relied on two-handed backhands from both sides. When they approached a ball on their left, they would hit a left-hand dominated backhand. When they approached a ball on their right, they would hit a two-handed forehand. Yuri wanted me to play that way. It extends your range. You get to more balls in a position of strength. That's what Yuri had in mind. He spent all his free time watching videos of Seles and Gambill. So began this strange period when I played tennis as a lefty. Well, it was really a progress. At first, I tried playing as pure lefty, a one-handed left-hand forehand and two-handed backhand, but I just didn't have the arm strength. So I went with all two-handers, that is, two-handed backhands on both sides, like Seles and Gambill played. It turned out that I could do it. Robert Lansdorp was impressed, and Yuri was happy, but Nick Bollettieri and many people at the academy were irritated. They'd spent so much time working with my right-hand forehand and my two-hand backhand, and now it was suddenly back to square one, and I was confused, not in my mind, but in my body. North was south, back was front, arms and legs, feet and hands. I did not know what to do. This went on for 3 to 4 months, endless days of my father videotaping my practices, followed by endless nights of my father watching those videotapes over and over again. It exists in my memory as the time I spent in an alternate reality in the future that never happened, on a train that never left the station. What would life have been like as a lefty? Maybe worse, maybe better. McEnroe, corners, lovers, all lefties. I had to decide. One night, at the end of a practice match at the academy, playing under the big lights, a smattering of people in the bleachers, Nick Bollettieri took me and my father aside. Nick had mostly left my game alone. But now he had something on his mind. He said, look, I don't care what you do about this. Not really. I think Maria will have great success, lefty or righty. But you have to make a choice. Otherwise, she's going to be half as good at both and not nearly as good at either. Maria, I know this is a very hard choice, he added, looking only at me. But you have to choose now or else it's going to be too late. It's not a choice for me or your dad or your mom or Robert. It's for you only. I was speechless, devastated. At that moment, I thought Nick was the meanest man on the planet. I was only 12 years old and I had to make a decision that might impact my entire future. I was crying when I got home. My mom asked me why. When I told her, she said, just remember which people make you cry. I shook my father up too. It was as if he'd been slapped awake. Was he screwing me up? Was he putting everything in jeopardy? That's an impression we got from Nick. Yuri was bugged, but he knew that Nick was right. A decision had to be made. My father and I remember the next part differently. As I remember it, the decision, as Nick said it had to be, was left to me. Who else could know what it was like from the inside? I spent days and days going back and forth, choosing and then reversing that choice. It was one of the hardest decisions I'd ever had to make. Lefty or righty? Righty or lefty? To be or not to be? My mom and dad would come out onto the court and videotape me from different angles, helping me examine the question in every possible way. In the end, I decided to stick with what I knew, with what I am, with what I've always been. I'm a righty. If I'd been 7 instead of 12 years old, maybe I would have chosen differently. But if I switched hands at 12, then I'd really have been going back to square one. I would lose all those seasons and all those years of work and development, all those hours of Yudkin and Bolleteri and Sekeu and Robert, all those matches on all those blistering days. I just didn't have that much strength in my left arm. I had never developed it. That was especially evident when I hit a lefty serve. I'd been taking a big step back. In the end, I just did not have the energy or desire or faith to make such a radical change. I told my father and Nick and Robert, I've always been a righty. That's what I'm going to keep on being. Good choice, said Nick. Now, let's get back to work. This lefty-righty adventure, even without the permanent switch, did actually affect my game. First of all, it really built up my backhand. In the old days, a coach would tie a young basketball player's right hand behind his back to develop his left. That's what it was like for me. All those weeks of playing lefty really worked up and developed my backhand. Like Robert says, it became a weapon. Backhand down the line, my favorite shot. My father remembers the decision being made in a different way. At times, we talk about the past. It's as if we've been living in two different worlds. He says the choice was made not by me, but by him. By him. How could such an important decision be left to a child? He asks, shrugging. He had indeed been shaken by Nick Bolleteri in what he said on the court that day. You have to make a choice, otherwise she's going to be half as good at both and not nearly as good at either. But he couldn't make up his mind. Lefty was like the moonshot. It could transform everything, but righty was logical and smart. Look at how much success I'd already had with my right hand, so he hesitated and delayed. What are you waiting for? I asked. What I'm always waiting for, he told me, a sign. It finally came at the end of dinner at a friend's house, a tennis friend. Yuri held a dessert dish in one hand and a coffee mug in the other. He wandered into the living room, put the dish and cup on the coffee table, and sat on the couch to look at a stack of tennis magazines. He flipped through one at random. It fell open to the horoscope page. Astrology corner, he told me. And it said right there in black and white. I swear, Maria, it said, the #1 women's player in the world will have the initial MS and she will be right-handed. Yuri never mentioned my left hand again. So, Chapter 11. Let's continue. I started playing in big tournaments all over the world. I was still an amateur, but I was on the road to the pro tour, a few steps away. Only the best youth players in the world make it into these tournaments. Only the best of the best make it out. It's like an eye of a needle. Just a handful get through to the next stage. It was a crucial past stage that for me could not have come at a worse time. I was 14 and one of my biggest dreams was about to come true. I began to grow and grow and grow. It seems to happen all at once in the course of a long summer night. You go to bed in one body and you wake up in another, stretched out, long and clumsy, and then 8 inches added just like that. I'd top out at 6'2". But you know what they say about too much of a good thing. I was suddenly in possession of an entirely new body, but it was gangly and out of control, and it hurt. Adding all those inches in a short period of time made my bones ache, and suddenly I was looking down at everyone. I felt awkward, even embarrassed about this at first. I later came to love my height and see it as a gift. I love being tall. That's probably why I wear high heels. Also because I love the shoes. I'm not going to let my height prevent me from wearing exactly what I want to wear. If you have a problem with a woman who towers over you, it's your problem, not mine. But it was not easy at first. I had a new body and I'd yet to figure out how to control it. I was uncoordinated, not in command of my own limbs. I could still practice with intensity, but in matches, my body would betray me, go haywire. And this was at the time when I started to get wildcards into the big professional tournaments. Because IMG sponsored certain tournaments, they had wildcards to give clients. With a wildcard, I could skip the qualifying rounds and jump directly to the main draw. So bang, I was on the big stage, but I felt so disoriented in my body. I'd have a goal and know exactly what I had to do, but I just couldn't execute. It was as if my hands and legs, my arms and feet were not connected to my brain. The inevitable result was a string of embarrassing defeats, my first real losing streak. I lost and lost everywhere. I lost in front of small crowds and big crowds. I lost in the daytime and I lost at night. I lost on hard courts and clay. I'd feel fine in practice and then go out for the match and everything would fall apart. I remember losing so many matches in a row, one after another after another. I remember walking through the halls of stadiums, hotel corridors crying. I remember the way the other girls looked at me, less with respect than with pity. With joy disguised as compassion, looking down on someone they had once feared. I remember thinking, what's happening? My parents were aware of it too. I had done so well up to this point, risen through each age group ranking into the final rounds nearly every time. Now this, what a struggle. They try to help me, but there's only so much another person can do. They try to help me, but there's only so much another person can do. In the end, it's something you have to figure out yourself. Many promising careers have ended this way. You probably don't know their names or their sad stories. You worry that your name will be added to that list. It was a nightmare, full of uncertainty. But looking back, I can see that it was ultimately advantageous. Anyone can be composed and cool while winning, when everything is going according to plan. But how do you deal with a losing streak? That's the big question. That's what separates the professionals from the cautionary tales. There really is so much more to learn from losing than from winning, about the game and about yourself. Do you get up when you've been knocked down? Do you have it in you to press ahead when your work suddenly seems pointless? When you are playing the game just for the game itself? When you worry that you are letting everyone down? Do you get up one more time than you've been knocked down, or do you quit? That's the toughest that Yudkin had been talking. That's the toughness that Yudkin had been talking about all those years before. No one really knows how they will react to disaster until the disaster is on top of them. And time is up. Yeah. So let's read one more page and then we shall continue tomorrow. So no one really knows how they will react to disaster until the disaster is on top of them. I never lost confidence, not entirely. I guess I was too young to fully understand confidence as a concept, to know it was a thing to be had. I just had it. There was never a match I entered not believing I would win. Even when I lost, and I lost many times, I still believed I was moving ahead, on the path, following the plan. Just keep hitting. That's what I told myself. Flat, deep strokes, quick feet before every shot. Game after game, eventually something will break. I don't know exactly how long it went on like this. I could probably look it up and count the losses, but would want to do that, even in the spirit of being complete. It's enough to say it felt like forever. It seemed like for me, I feel like this situation I'm in, this tough situation I'm in, it feels like forever. It surely feels like forever. It seemed like nothing would ever change, and then one day it did. My brain finally began to understand my body. It didn't happen during a victory, and it didn't happen all at once. It happened during a loss. To a spectator, it would have looked like just another failure, but something important had changed. It was the kind of subtle shift you'd have to really know tennis to notice. Robert Lansdorp can name the match or thinks he can. We'd been working together all along. If he was worried about my losing streak, he later told me that he was. He did not say so at the time. He didn't back off either, or let me resort to the top spin that could probably have made my life a lot easier. He was like a guy whose car has overheated halfway across America. We're closer to the Pacific than the Atlantic, so let's just keep on till we get there. You're 14 years old and struggling. He told me, your father was worried, and IMG was worried, and everyone was thinking, and then you got into this big tournament at this crucial moment, and I just wanted to fly out there and see for myself. Was it really as bad as they all said? It was in Sarasota, your first professional event with prize money. I flew out on my own dime, which, if you know me, tells you something. I remember the exact tournament Robert was talking about. It was probably my first as a pro. I actually had a chance to win some money. That might seem like a big shift, but you hardly notice it when it happens. It's still the same court and the same players and the same everything. Robert and I sat down before the match, but he didn't want to talk about tennis at all. He talked about music instead. iPods and the beach. He asked, what do you want to do? What do you want for your birthday? He said it was important now and then to stop caring. Then he gave me a guitar. I still have it, a beautiful little acoustic guitar that I never did learn to play, and a gift certificate for lessons. He said, that way, instead of getting yourself all wound up about a match, you can just pick up the guitar and play. You are playing an older girl, much older, bigger and stronger and seasoned and all that, Robert told me. This was on clay. I watched each point very carefully. Nowadays, someone watching those games will tell you that you played dumb because you hit every ball just as hard as you could, low and flat, exactly like I taught you. There's a lower margin of error with all that top spin. I call it academy ball. It's all about the averages. Because anytime you go to an academy, I don't care whose academy it is, when you hit the ball hard and low or make an error, they'll tell you to hit it high over the net with a lot of top spin, especially on clay. But you'd have none of it. You kept hitting those blazing low margin, high reward shots. It took guts and the kind of stubbornness that's all important. It took the very best kind of stupidity. I was in a funk after the match. I'd lost in 3 sets. But Robert was smiling when he came into the clubhouse. He said, Maria, if you keep playing like that, you have nothing to worry about. I said, what are you talking about? I lost. He said, you lost only because you made a few too many errors. You were slow getting up to a few balls. You had no fear, even at 14. When you were playing your first match on the professional tour at night on a bad clay court and things were not going well, he said not long ago, you are not choking, you are not getting nervous. That loss told me more than any victory could have, because you did not back off or give in. You did not say, oh, let me hit some high balls with top spin. You just kept going for it and going for it. That's when I knew that Yuri was right. You are going to be the #1 player in the world. Of course, that's the spirit. Then there's the body, which is another way of saying, yes, my attitude was important in the turnaround, but not as important as my serve. So that to that point, my serve was the same as it had always been. It was the same serve I'd had since I was 8 or 9 years old. I didn't know it, but it was about to change. This happened after a challenger in Pittsburgh. Challengers are second-tier tournaments put on by the ITF, the International Tennis Federation. If you win enough challengers, it's all about accumulating points. You can earn a place on the WTA tour, which is the big time. I had just turned 15 and things were starting to fall into place. As Robert promised, my ground strokes were becoming a weapon. I'd lost in the final Pittsburgh, and afterward, I saw a look on my father's face that could not have meant anything good. I was talking to Max when Yuri burst in, almost shouting, "Masha," he said, "you will never serve like that again." "What are you talking about?" I asked. "Your serve is weak," said Yuri. "It's fine for a little girl, but you're no longer a little girl. You are growing into a powerful woman, and you must serve like one. You're growing into a powerful woman, and you must serve like one. Your game is not finesse, it's power." Yeah, now let's stop at that, and then we can continue tomorrow, because I'm making reading errors, so that shows I might be tired. So let's just stop at that. And I hope you're enjoying the read till now. For me, I'm actually really enjoying it, and it's actually fortifying my journey, because this journey is not easy, but you need to push through, don't give in the towel. So it's quite really actually affirming me. And so even with that being said, I hope you've had a good day today. For me, I've had a good day. I thank God I was able to apply for a job. Please pray for me so that I can get that job, so that I can at least earn some money, because I really do need to earn some money to sustain myself. YouTube is not paying me. I don't even see as if it's close to getting there, but we'll push through. Who knows, maybe by tomorrow I'll wake up monetized. Yeah, who knows, the Lulu is the Solulu. But anyway, you guys, you need to subscribe. Are you not subscribing? Yeah, and you also need to watch the videos till the end. I checked today and I saw we are at 7 watch hours. My 365 days. Hopefully by the time these 365 days are over, we'll have surpassed 4,000 watch hours and have surpassed 1,000 subscribers. So please do subscribe. Please do consider subscribing if you enjoy the content that I'm putting out for you guys. It might be boring, but I mean, this is how I'm experiencing life and getting to archive my memories on here. Yeah, so please find it in your heart to subscribe, like, and comment. Today we were commenting the Madagascar flag. So yeah, guys, you can even just tell me, "Keep going, girl." Yeah, or tell me we are tuned in, or just comment "Locked In Family." That's going to keep me going. But till then, I'll just keep pushing until something happens. Yeah, so I hope you've had a good day today. Today was at least a bit sunny, even though it rained in the morning. It was somewhat sunny, so got to feel the sun's warmth. I got to bask the limes. I also got to go to the cyber, used the Wi-Fi, and applied for a job. Yeah, my birthday is coming up soon. Crazy to think that I was anticipating for us to get to 10k subscribers by the time March is here, but it's here. We are at 225 subbies, which is okay. I love y'all, my subbies. I love y'all so much. I also love the 6 views or the 7 views or even the 55 views that I get. At least it's something. It's better than 0. Anyway, without that being said, I also hope you had a long day, a good day where you chose to clock in and lock in intentionally and put in the good work that's going to propel you towards the success that you anticipate. Yeah, and then we'll do that tomorrow again. Yeah, and joyfully and happily. Yeah, you need to experience this life happily, positively, joyfully. Yeah, and thank God, and actually in the center of it all, have God as number one. Yeah, rely on God, thank God, ask God. God has got your back, and I pray that God really comes through for me with that job, because I really truly don't need a job. I need to move out. I need to get my systems running. I need to have a baby. I need to buy a car. I need to go to driving school. There's so much that I need to do. I need to do some developments. And I'm just here feeling stuck, but definitely not for long. It's all going to line up. I believe as long as I'm putting my best foot forward, and as long as you're putting your best foot forward, everything will line up. Everything will truly line up. Yeah, because that's the only hope we have. Yeah, that's the only hope we have. Yeah, that's all I have for you today. Allow me to love you and leave you until day 63, where we will meet here again and do a roll call of my locked in family, where we clock in and lock in intentionally again and put in the hard work, the smart work. Yeah, actually, it's not always about working hard. It's also actually about working smart. Yeah, so I'll see you back here tomorrow, hopefully, God willing, and we shall repeat it all over again. But until then, please be safe, be happy, smile, tell your child you love them, hug them, encourage them, put in the work for them, so that like when life goes on and when they're big, they cannot struggle as much. That's the goal, and you can be happy. Yeah, we'll talk about tomorrow. Please have yourselves a beautiful night ahead, and I'll catch you back here in the morning.